So I was cut off as part of a consequence of people not helping me out, and so on and so forth. Ironically, I was just talking about how when you create a culture that's not receptive, okay, you're making it harder for this guy. And my phone ran out of batteries because nobody's helping me. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I have to upload videos when I go to town, and that makes it so that my phone gets full. Okay. Some videos I haven't uploaded. Anyway, so I was talking about the Western culture. So, well, you might say, well, why describe it this way? Because I've been fumed and drugged, my form reduced. I've lost 15, 20 pounds of potent, defined muscle, which also, and they've also chemically attacked me, which has reduced my ability to look and sound like this masculine hero, which is the continuity. But the reason is still there, and I'm the sabotage hero. To say that someone shouldn't listen to me right now is like saying you shouldn't listen to Jesus when he's on the cross, if the story was true, because he's crippled and on the cross. It's stupid. When he was being crucified, some of the most important things he said were said, like the childless wombs and so on and so forth. Going back to my argument from the last video where I said to try to walk the martial art path after I die is for one to die, because his life is an ill-gotten gain. One must give up ill-gotten gains and truly, with a contrite heart, in truth, reach out to God to receive God. And the only way to truly do that is to acknowledge the martial art order. When you think about it, when I was younger, I said, where would I go to find God? Well, I'd go to an underdeveloped country like Ethiopia, and I'd try to find those passive priests at Lalibela who have given everything to God, and they're poor, they're doing everything they could possibly think of. Well, when the martial art order emerges, those people need to obey as well. They cannot turn around and say, hey, you know what? My scripture says this, this, and this. There's an abundance of evidence that this guy is the King of Kings, that this guy is God's chosen. You can't let your doctrine and your dogma and whatever you think come in between. These are the types of people that if God himself was here and didn't do a miracle, okay, that they would reject his argument and not follow him. Obviously, my belief in Jesus is that he is based on the offspring of this continuity of African martial arts, and that God's spirit comes in him. He's only God in the sense that God's spirit comes into him when he's delivering the message. What I'm telling you right now is God's message. I'm just not in the martial arts spirit when I deliver it. This is me recollecting the message and explaining it more thoroughly and accurately, perhaps, in terms of words and reason and faith, okay? But in terms of sense and actually being in the spirit, it's not the same thing, but it's still truth, okay? So, we look at this thing, okay? What is the true royal line? It's a martial art line, but what line is it? Is it a passive Asian line? Is it an American martial art line? The American martial art line is no more valid as God's line, or no less valid than the Asian line. Okay, it's about the same. The age of it isn't so important. What is important is their unwillingness to accept me as the top martial artist and obey. When they don't do that, automatically it's invalid. They can't humble themselves enough to see that this black guy, okay, is doing the right thing, and that he's a greater martial artist than they are, that he is working with moral courage and they're not. They can't find the courage, the moral will, the moral toughness to make that decision. They feel, to say that, well, it's going to put me in danger. This is martial arts. Know what you're dealing with. These are war arts. You're either marshaling in the true spirit of righteousness, or you're fighting for the devil. You're trying to make an argument as to why you shouldn't obey your superior when it comes to the moral scale, the true scale of righteousness. That's not something a martial artist would do. It's only someone pretending to be a martial artist who's in rebellion. And this goes back to the story of the angels in rebellion. Angels are martial artists who are in the divine order that work the angles. Okay, it's like the big brute is not working the angles. He's brute force. Rah! He's working these kind of inferior angles, these fallen angles. Versus the guy truly working the angles, right? Lateral movement, stab, 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 right? The various ways that he can work the angles, going down, right? The spearing down, right? Martial, Mary Tall. They're trying to war shape the Pharaoh, who is the tall, coordinated African martial artist. Okay. So angels work the angles. They also worship. We are ship, okay? and worship the martial artist system that they're in. Right? If you're trying to be a sprinter, you're going to try to come to that shape. If you're trying to be a football lineman, you're going to try to come to that shape. If you're trying to be a martial artist with the true spirit of God, you're going to try to worship this guy. Okay? And if you're a small guy kind of mimicking it, right, you see on the Narmer palette, okay, you're either going to accept that you're doing an inferior form, if you're not going to breed toward being taller in a way that's consistent with the system, or you're going to be one of the standard bearers, right, who also can use the standard to kind of fend people off if they feel the need to. It's that simple. Obviously, there's complexes and racism and political movements and economic movements and social movements, people who can't overcome their worldliness, who make arguments to the contrary or insist that I cover this up. All right. So let's look at the obvious now. Let's wrap this up. Number one, love and moral courage must come together. Okay? You must say, I'm looking for love, and I have the moral courage to insist on not doing anyone wrong when I have this love. Okay. Obviously, when you at times in a society where they don't respect somebody, he can grow up lying to women, trying to find a way to get them to pay attention to him. I do my thing. My dad's gonna give me a Lamborghini when I'm older. Whatever. Right? The guy who's truly looking for love, because the women are saying, in order for you to get our attention, you have to do something despicable. So at first, this can lead somebody who's not trained and who's just looking for love, who's a good person, to start to lie to them to get their attention. But this must, as the person grows up, it must turn into truth. I'm going to insist that you obey the Spirit of God and act like a good woman of God. Okay? I'm not going to lie to you and be like, look, I'm not going to be a gangster with you. I'm not going to be a thug with you. I'm not going to be a police officer, a military. I'm not going to be in the intelligence agency. I'm not going to be a politician with you. I'm going to insist that you behave in a respectable manner and serve God first and not this nation. That is how we're going to build this foundation. I'm going to have the moral courage and the desire for true love to do that. Okay? So what we see here is this kind of activity. I've been shown definitively, and certainly didn't need to be shown, is it comes from the regeneration of martial arts principles, martial arts discipline. I was raised by a guy who's a big, strong guy who does brain surgery, right? He can coordinate his body enough. He chose the direction to express his martial arts through brain surgery, okay? Who was like him? Nobody's like him. Nobody came from, when you compare obstacles to success, nobody on the planet is like my father. Not only is he coming from the Igbo line, and the Obi means king, from the cult center of Eri, but he faced with obstacles, coming to America without a penny in his pocket, as the most stigmatized race on the planet. Where the N-word comes from is Nigeria. Okay? They're saying, of all Africans, you guys that we brought over here by the millions are the people we hate most. You are the type of black people we oppress most. We don't want to see your Nigerian masculinity express itself in martial art form. That's what they were saying. And this guy was forced to, he came into the brain surgery. He wanted to help people. And what good is martial arts in a system that is not receptive, right? He was taught early on that you're better off being a brain surgeon than being a martial artist in this society because they're unreceptive. And there's a certain chance for you to win them over and make a more moral society. They rejected that. That was the logical assumption. He did it. I can respect it. I, however, lived in a society where they were so unfair, so insistent on sabotage. Look up, Africans are successful when they come here. Within a few generations, the wealth is lost because they sabotage them. So I had to emerge as a martial artist. So this is that martial arts. He's like, you're doing the wrong thing when I was younger, spanking me. And it's conveying this focused moral intensity. It's the spirit of focused moral intensity. No Western social norms. No Western insistence. No saying, this is the white man's country and this is the proper way to do it. No proper fucking English thong on with a stick up your ass. Okay? But true, pure focused morality, universal morality from someone who married a white woman. Okay? No racial imperative. No cultural imperative. He didn't come here insisting on everyone he comes across acting like an Igbo.